This is the Chasing Tomorrow podcast with Joe Gagnon. We bring you captivating conversations that will inspire all of us to go after our own version of a high-performance life. Hey, welcome to the Chasing Tomorrow podcast. Just me today, coming to you from my favorite place, sort of outdoors, just enjoying beautiful spring morning. Now, I had a couple of questions come up from a recent set of posts that I made about this idea of the dream it, plan it, practice it, do it mindset, and sort of what that methodology means and why does it matter to us on our journey. And so I think that many of us sort of wonder a little bit about how can we create the life that we want to live, because I think sometimes we feel pressure from the external world, from friends, from just society in general for how we're going to show up and who we're going to become. And I think that my mindset has always been that we earn our place, we earn our opportunities, and we become the people that we want to become sort of by the way that we show up. And we've talked to lots of different guests over the years about sort of their journey, and they always seem to always have had such an interesting start, right? No one sort of starts off as an Olympic champion or someone who can row across the Atlantic or run across Canada. These are activities that sort of develop over time, and I think they come down to this sort of idea of the dream, plan, practice, do mindset. The practicality of that is, I think, what empowered me to get on this journey, even with the Chasing Tomorrow podcast, which was to sort of dream about hanging out with smart people, about getting the opportunity to learn and experience what they've learned and experienced, to actually figure out how to actually go build a podcast. So practicing it was really fun, and then just doing it, sticking to whatever it is that we commit to. I think often we have a lot of sort of excitement about an idea, and then what happens is we let life get in the way. I think that as we lean deeper into bigger ideas or more of what we want to become, I think that the seriousness that we bring and maybe the simple methodology, which is, it's easy to dream, and talk about that again, but sort of outlining what gets us excited. What is it that we want to do? How does it build who we want to become? How does it start to think about the purpose of why we're here and what do we want to learn along the way? And then ultimately, how are we going to share that? So that dreaming stuff should be fun. Whiteboarding it, typing it out, creating a notepad, just having conversations. It's really fun and exciting to do. When I did the 6 marathons, 6 continents, 6 days, it was a dream. It was like, wow, I can't climb Mount Everest, so what else can I do? And went and cycled through a lot of ideas. Could I row across the Atlantic, run across Africa, do anything? And then I said, well, what's the constraint of a week? What could you do? And so the dream started to take hold by me playing through sort of the ideas. And the planning was actually fun. I think we should have fun with planning. Whether it's a plan for a year or a lifetime, we should enjoy sort of this what if. What if I do this? How might that happen? And how would I evolve my life? And I like the planning part because we work through some of the constraints and what's in the way. And really, at the end of the day, it is our life and we get to do whatever we want. You gotta love practicing. I do. I think that practicing is life. Every day, here we are, we're growing, we're developing. Recently, we had this idea that failure means growth. And what does that mean? Because, failure is only sort of a language we use to sort of define something that seems like a bad outcome. But truth is that the foundation of improvement is about finding failure points and then developing the skills and the capabilities to go beyond that. I mean, think of muscles to failure. Can't lift that weight. Keep doing it. We build more muscle strength so we can lift that weight. It's the same with learning. Learn math. First time we don't get it. We keep working on it. We develop the neurons that are going to allow us to sort of develop and grow in that way. And so the failure moment happens in the practice, and that's sort of really cool. And then doing it isn't just a one-time do, right? I mean, this doing is living as well. We can cycle through practicing and doing. But what it means is that we're making this commitment. It's this, I've said before, the courage to make a commitment to consistency. The consistency in life is actually very exciting because if you can define sort of this foundation for yourself and you can think more about something you can count on, that is there for you. I mean, a lot of people know me. They know that the daily running is an essential part of who I am. It lets me get outside, especially in the bad weather. It allows me to sort of just feel something to have some time on my own, whether listening to a podcast or just running in the silence of the day. It is that consistency that gives me confidence in everything else that I want to try and lean into. And so courage matters. It matters through the dream it, plan it, practice it, do it. The consistency matters. And of course, commitments matter. These are all about personal practices that each and every one of us owe it to ourselves to develop over time. It's that mind-body connection. There are some who say that the mind and the body are one. We sometimes separate them, but the more integrated that we can create that, the better harmony we can have with keeping the noise out of the system, letting our body perform at its top level. That's what we should think about, strengthening our mind so that we have full alignment. We can lean into our potential. We can actually feel better as we go along. And so that I spend a reasonable amount of time sort of thinking about how could I improve the mind-body connection? What noise am I allowing into my life? Am I listening to people who may or may not know me, telling me what to do? Is the world conspiring to lower the standards? Are we hanging out with the right people? Hey guys, Joe Gagnon, host of the Chasing Tomorrow podcast, and this episode is brought to you by OneUp Health. OneUp Health is a modern cloud data and interoperability platform that makes it easy to acquire, store, and share data between payers, providers, and patients. I hope you enjoy the episode. And so I think all of that connects to this mind-body experience that just lets us be better. I don't think that there's any sort of true, absolute quantitative measurement of success in life. I think, though, success is about feeling good about yourself, feeling that you took this resource that we have and put it to best use, and that ultimately we're getting a return on that investment. And we talked about that often, and which gets to sort of ultimately those 5 pillars. So how do you make it practical on a day-to-day basis? You have some methodology, dream it, plan it, practice it, do it. You have this personal commitment thing of courage to make a commitment to consistency. And then we action it through these 5 pillars that are really conceptually very simple, but sometimes hard to operationalize. So it's the sleep, it's the exercise, it's nutrition, it's mindset, and it's community. And it's thinking about, in our daily choices that we make, how are we thinking about optimizing against each of those pillars? Are we eating the right foods? Are we sleeping enough? Are we exercising as frequently as we want? Are we hanging out with the right people? And how are we feeling about that? Maybe if we index them all at a 5, 5 being the highest you could get. I don't think any of us are going to be a 5 in all 5 pillars. But I know for sure, whatever we start with, whether it's a 1, 2, 3, or 4, that we can get better in each of them with focus. Could have a dream it, plan it, practice it, do it methodology about sleep. A dream that I could sleep some more, pun intended. And so we operationalize our life. We create the opportunity to become bigger and richer and deeper. And this is where we start to earn it. And it takes time. The patience that gets us to success in life is really, really important. There isn't any place to rush to. We all have many, many, many years, no matter where we're starting. If we're in our 20s or we're in our 70s, we still have lots of years of practice. And having these 5 pillars as a reminder, this doesn't mean about perfection. It's not like you have to eat exactly the right foods at every meal. It just means about being conscious and aware. This is about this is our life. So what do we want to do about it? And what I found over the years was, in the beginning, I was really quiet about what I did. I didn't tell anyone. I wrote it down to stay accountable, but I didn't really share it because in the beginning I was sort of a novice. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to learn how to live a bigger and richer life, more than I had, sort of feeling that I was worthy of being here. And then as I found more confidence in what I was doing, I then found this ability to share it, because the truth of the matter is that we all want to hear good stories. We want to hear of role models. We want to know of people who have found a pathway there. It isn't about buying a lottery ticket or taking a pill, right? It's actually about applying this resource that we have to maximize our potential, using some of these frameworks as method, because really over time, while at every moment we sort of don't really connect with what the future might be like, but if we could build in this vitality, this ability to do more, this resiliency and this sort of excitement about what's next, of course, chasing tomorrow, then we're like set up for whatever comes. And there's a lot being written lately about sort of that just making money isn't enough. And I think we all know that. It's necessary, and having the proper resources are really necessary. But for every one of us to sort of feel like this journey has been worth it, it's about embracing and engaging through the power that each of us have. The community part, which we've talked about a lot on the podcast, and of course I love hanging out with Sean and others, is about reinforcing each other, learning from each other, whether it's cross-generational or within our own generations. Whether it's from expert to novice, it doesn't sort of matter. It's about this idea of listening richer and deeper and sort of talking when we're sharing something that's worth sharing. I think that the listening piece is amazing. Like it's this, if I found a treasure trove of all the people who actually figured something out that I don't have to go down the path and figure it out. I mean, that's just very exciting as well, because sometimes it's hard. I don't know. I used to have to read magazines. Now you can cruise the internet. But really, maybe it's just about putting yourself in the right community with a willingness to listen, ask questions, learn from all the efforts. But boy, that does accelerate for us, right? And then at the end of the day, I think the coolest part of all of this that I'm talking about here is that when we feel like we earned it, meaning that we put in the effort, we developed along the way, and we felt some kind of success, it's really ultimately amazingly satisfying. It serves our and how they give us a reward through the dopamine system, or just generally about this sort of intuitive nature that we have, that the human system likes to develop and evolve, that it likes to figure out, you know. I mean, there was a time when, I don't know, we couldn't see light. And here we are all these years later. We're sitting on the edge of AI. And how could we actually be smarter and better over time by having more assistance and helps us to do more? We have technology even in the form of a sneaker that can help us get out, or Gore-Tex that keeps us dry in the rain. All of these things are there and available for us to leverage, so that as we go on this path, we can be more productive. We can actually accomplish more. And then at each step, right, we know that we'll probably hit a bit of a plateau. The plateau being in this idea of a step function where we're continuing to myelinate and integrate what we've learned into who we are. And it's at that moment that we then set ourselves up for the next phase of growth. So it's okay that for a little while, it's not continuing just up and to the right. That in fact, we're establishing ourselves foundationally, one foundation on another, on another, on another. And then when we look back and say like, wow, I can't believe I wasn't able to do that, or I can believe that I am able to do this now. Oh my gosh, it is so satisfying, so exciting. And it actually just continues to motivate us to want to do more. And so as you think a little bit about this tidbit podcast here, about the Dream It, Plan It, Practice It, Do It methodology. It's easy. You can just write it down, right? The courage to make a commitment to consistency. These frameworks that really matter. The idea that we can connect our mind and body to be integrated so that it's sort of supportive and helping each other. And then the 5 pillars of, sleep and nutrition and mindset and community and exercise, that we can actually make it very practical in what we do. I think if we all embrace this and we come chase tomorrow with all of these ideas, I think ultimately we're going to just enjoy this life and create a better universe for everyone. So thanks for listening, everyone. Short podcast today. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, week ahead. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks very much.